right, welcome in. We are joined tonight with Merica Racing with Mr. Danny Wiles, Russell Black, and Ginger Ninja. Pew Pew RB and, well, Ginger Ninja. Merica Racing, they competed in the Daytona 24 over the weekend. I think they qualified 20th, you guys, and wound up finishing 9th. Had a couple mishaps during the race, but overall a pretty good finish. Danny, why don't you start us off and kind of introduce your team, Merica Racing, and kind of give us an idea of what we got going on here.
Yeah, as you know, I mean, I'm Daniel, Pew Pew Merica. I mean, I used to stream, now I don't. But you got Ginge, he's our official crew chief for the team, and Russell, he is our PR guy, our HR. You know, got to have those kind of guys around.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we're more of an NASCAR team, but we have ventured into the road racing a little bit. We won the 24 last year, and we won the Sebring 12 hours last year. So we're going to try and do a double one out here soon. So yeah, I mean, we have a bunch of drivers. I think we're up to what, 7, 8? What is it?
Something like that. Yeah, 7 or 8.
Yeah, we're up to 7 or 8 drivers. So all the NASCAR drivers, we're starting to look into getting more road guys in and some dirt guys in
Okay. Expanding like crazy.
Expanding. Yes, sir.
That's good.
Get the
That's
name out there.
That's good. Well, I just real quick, it was important for me to have you guys on as one of my first shows. I had DJE last week, but Pew, you know, we kind of started the whole streaming thing together, and it was just kind of important that I get you guys on here. You guys are kind of the main crew when I started streaming and kind of come out. So it was important for me to get to talk to you guys. But skipping down to Ginger, this was your first crew chief on the box of a 24. Tell us the difference between wet and dry tires.
You got to be real sensitive on the wets as far as getting when you get on them, because if you get on them too soon and there's not enough water, they overheat really easy, really quick. And so we was having to figure out as the race went on when to get on wets, when to be on dries. And we had a period there where Danny was in the car and it was raining, but it wasn't like pouring down, and everybody was swapping the wets and we were staying on dries, and he was kind of being easy on it and just making sure he made clean laps where there was drier areas. And we were 5, 6, 7 seconds a lap faster than them still. So, I mean, the big difference with the wets and dries is obviously dries are for dry, but you can still run them in somewhat wet. But, man, the rains are they're you got to really be careful when you get on them. You get on them too soon and it's over.
Let me ask you, would qualifying be too soon to get on the wets?
Yeah, it would be.
I thought so.
Hold on. To be fair, we were in the practice lobby, and I needed to see what the race lab overlay showed when he went on wets, so I knew what the colored match was, and I forgot to remind him to switch back to dries for qualifying. But it actually kind of worked a little bit in our favor. It allowed us to start at the back of the GTPs.
It did.
Kind of let them get their space out ahead of us if there was anything funky going to happen. Because we were back and forth whether we were going to start with the GTPs or we were going to start from the pits. And I brought up the point of if we started from the pits and we got released with the GTPs, there's a chance we would merge in with LMP2s. And we'd be immediately in slower cars before we could get spread out.
Absolutely.
It was going to be probably more of an issue. So it was an accident, but it worked out.
It would have been nice to see that car in the pole, though.
Yeah, and I think we could have done it. We could have done it, but
I think we had the speed.
So Russell, overall, how would you rate running the 24? The experience of it, the mental drain of it. What would be your perspective on that?
I really enjoyed it. So this was my first one. I have not run, like an endurance road race before. I can tell you I learned a whole heck of a lot.
I'm with you. I'm still the loser that can't run the special races because
I mean, there's so much that goes into it. Just the preparation of I had never driven the GTP car before either, and so learning the car. Really trying to learn the track and how to drive that car there, testing in all of the different weather environments, so hot and cold and rain and transition to rain, transition from rain to dry, and everything in between, right? So there's all the preparation that goes into that. And then you factor in the piece of we've got 5 drivers and 2 crew to assist us. And so just the scheduling dynamics of that across multiple time zones and making sure it's split and even, all of that to just culminate into one race that was a lot of fun. But I can tell you, we sure as heck, the one, probably my biggest takeaway from that race is you're only as strong, as a team, you're only as strong as your weakest driver. So if the whole team practices the whole time, and one team member doesn't, that could completely ruin your race. And just the opposite, right? Like, and I could tell you, I didn't want to be that guy. So I put a ton of laps in, making sure I was ready for that race. And it was cool. I'm glad we did it, and I'm really looking forward to the next one.
So I guess that'll lead me into my next question. What's the longest stint that you had ran previous to running this endurance race? Like, what's the longest you sat in a seat and ran a continuous race?
I probably ran longer races than I ran in the seat for the 24 in a consistent time frame. So how we broke it up is we were just doing 2 fuel loads per stint before we would swap it out. So that was another thing that we had learned is probably the next time we do this, we're going to extend it. Because by the time you transition out, that you're just now starting to get into a rhythm. So we'll probably do an extra fuel load, if not an extra 2 fuel loads, to give you some time to get consistent and be comfortable in the seat. But I think, between me, Chris, Danny, we've all run longer league races and other sessions like that. So I think the time in seat wasn't as bad, but we definitely could have extended that a little bit more going back and doing it again.
Danny, you said you didn't have to put in quite the work this year as the other guys did, but what is it? How is it when you're getting out of the seat? Are you ready to get out, or is it one of those of you got tired and you wanted to get out, but then once you got out, it's like, man, I really wish I hadn't got out yet.
Well,
how does that?
Right there on that one, I didn't want to get out because we started 20th and we worked our way all the way up to 5th by my second fuel stop. And we weren't too far behind the leaders. And the problem is I got out at 8 something. I didn't get back in the car until 9 something at night. I think it was 9:30 at night. So it was almost 12 hours worth of, I had things to do. I had some stuff to do, and you're sitting there, I'm checking my Twitch stream, to see how the guys are doing. And man, when you get back in the car, it's like you're starting all over again. Right. And it takes you about 5 laps to kind of get back into a rhythm and this and that. And then like Russell said, once you get into a rhythm, it's like, man, my 2 fuel stints are done.
Right. Uh-oh, looks like we lost Ginger.
Yeah, I think we did.
That's all right. Oh, he's back in there. Let me see if I can figure out how to get him back.
Yeah, I dropped somehow.
Welcome back.
There we go. It's all right. Welcome back, Kyle. So overall, the amount of practice that you had to put in, how many hours did you say you guys practiced? I know you said you practiced, all the weather, all the transitions, day, night, hot, cold, probably a little bit of wind here or there. About how many hours do you think you got into it?
We were behind schedule because when I started with SM last year, SM Racing Products, we started in November. Sometime at the end of October, in the middle or beginning of November. We started in December?
Yeah, I think it was early to mid-December is when we really started focusing on it. And
some of us I put in a lot of hours, but I didn't put in many as like Russell and then because I ran it last year. So I already knew the feel of it. I just had to knock off a little bit of rust. But Russell, you put in a lot of time.
Yeah. I would love to go back and take a look and see how many laps that I did run just for practice, because it's like, for me, it's all about seat time. I want to get comfortable in the car. I want to feel the track. I want to learn what I can do. And so between, not only the seat time, but then going back and reviewing telemetry. So like looking at laps for the guys that are faster, comparing my laps to Danny to see like, okay, where am I gaining? Where am I losing? Then going back out on the track and doing it all over again. Yeah. So I would say if I had to guess, I probably had at least maybe 12 to 16 hours of Daytona practice, if I had to just give a rough estimate.
Not only that, but all the different
Long
sets we
time.
tried.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Different
We
setup,
tried.
yep.
We had like 4 or 5 different setups. We basically went through trying and seeing what they like the feel of, and finally settled on one. And then we bought the 24 version of it. So went through a little bit of that.
What setup do we use this year?
P1 docks.
P1 docks. All
Yeah,
right.
they do a lot of road racing, like Daniel Gray and a few others on Twitch are have deals with them, and one of the guys from EPI, Parker White, the Coke Series champion, actually builds some of the GT3 setups for them as well. So yeah, it seemed to be the one that fit the drivers the most. That's what we went with.
Ginger, since it was your first time on the box, right? I know we talked about wet and dry, but take me through the kind of the mental game of crew chief in a 24-hour race, because I know I came in your stream and I was typing in commands and you said, "Yo, man, I don't have those on. I don't want to get distracted." I was really impressed with the seriousness in which you were carrying it with. But tell me about the mental part of that of staying up and kind of trying to keep tabs on the race and keeping everything going and wondering about the weather, and tell me how that all went down.
Yeah, so we obviously this is the first one being, especially with weather. Like last year, I helped them through TikTok because I could just keep track in my mind of when other guys around us were pitting, and I could kind of know what the cycle was going to play out to be. Well, this year with the weather played a huge part, and it was just keeping tabs on other drivers, other teams when they were pitting. Trying to see how the timing was going to play out with the weather coming in. And then we had to play in the fact of the damage of when we would get in wrecks and see how that would play out with weather coming in. And luckily for us, when we did have meatballs, which we had a bunch of them, it could make a whole damn spaghetti meal with it.
Not that anybody was counting, but I heard 14.
And I'm for sure 12, but I think we were at 14. But they played out really well with when weather was coming in. So but when they would happen, we'd have to make a decision: are we switching drivers? Or are we staying with the current drivers? And we were trying to see where it would lay with what the schedule was. If because the weather slowed down the driver changes. If someone got a meatball X amount into their run, well, if we change drivers now, will we stay generally on time schedule?
Right.
So everybody will be up and ready to go. And especially it got hard because it ended up being like 14 or 15 hours of the race was in the wet conditions. It was tough because everything kept slowing it down, and then like I said, all the damage. A lot of it is like we kind of did spotter / crew chief for me basically. We had scheduled times, but I was in sim for 21-ish hours of the 24. And I left for a few hours in the middle of the day to go to church, and then I slept for about an hour from about 5 a.m. to 6 a.m. To just try to have some sleep. Other than that, I was in sim basically, and it was exhausting. But we were trying to keep tabs of where GT3 cars were coming up, and as the race went on, we knew what cars were trouble, so we'd keep an eye out on them. Daggum Mustang.
Oh my gosh.
That Mustang.
Yeah.
Mustang Sally got you, huh?
There was this one single Mustang, and it was a disaster to be around every time.
Yeah.
And as the race went on, it got worse and worse and worse. And luckily, it wasn't just us calling them out. It was rough, but it was just keeping tabs on drivers around us. Other GTPs that would be racing around us. Hey, this is the leader. We got to let him go. Just trying to play that game of being respectful to the class leaders. But not give up too much time. It's a lot of mental of keeping track of everything, and not falling off, and then doing the math on time to pit and seeing how far off your schedule is and all that. It's taxing mentally.
So that's what I wanted to ask too, because once again, I'm still the loser that can't run those special races because I got a D class, right? The weather, right? They just started rain on iRacing, but what I don't know is when the weather's coming in, what does iRacing cue you? Does it cue you that, hey, there's weather coming in, or how does that relate to you as a crew chief, and how do you guys notice that? Does it just kind of start raining, or does it come up with an automated message of maybe there's rain coming out?
So
Because I don't know how that
yeah.
works.
So when they're driving, they normally will get a message that there's rain in the forecast or there's rain on its way, rain coming soon, and then it'll also let you know that the track is moderately wet and all that stuff. So, but on my side, not being in the car, I just have to keep track of the weather radar and the percentages of the rain coming in, and you click on weather on the tab and it pulls up a radar just like a regular weather radar.
Yeah, I did not know
But
that. I had
but
no idea that was like that.
the problem on my end that I have with iRacing is that it has a chart of percentages with times next to it with temperature and rain percentage, and then it has the radar, but the radar doesn't show you, it doesn't tell you, this was an hour ago, this was 45 minutes from that ago, 30 minutes ago. So as the rain is coming in, it's hard to judge how soon that rain is getting to you on the radar. So we're feeling it out basically, especially for someone that doesn't do road racing stuff. I'm sure a lot of those guys go, okay, when it's here on the radar, it's this far away.
Right.
We didn't know that. We were just playing it by ear basically and trying to figure it out. We were pretty close, but yeah, it's not the easiest thing to judge. And then like I said, we had that session where it was wet, but it wasn't too wet. And Race Labs has an overlay. It tells you the track state and how much percentage rain it is. It's learning. We learned as we went in that 24.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a big learning session. Yeah, learned a lot.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. So what was overall, what was the biggest challenge that you guys faced? And then also, what was the most rewarding thing that you guys got out of running this 24?
I would say the challenge, at least for me, is like I'm not a road racer. I'm not someone that I don't even like turning right. I don't even know why I did this because like I like the eNASCAR stuff. But I think the part of it is like we are all super competitive. Like we weren't in one of the top splits from a 24 standpoint. But every single one of the guys that ran with us and crew chief for us and was on the crew, we're all super competitive and we all want to win. So I think that was probably the more challenging part, was just trying to overcome that. Like maybe we're not gonna, and when we're looking at it going, holy crap, we're on meatball number 12 because it's been raining for 15 hours and we're like 40 some laps down. Like, man, that hurts. But I think the rewarding part of it was just finishing it and knowing that now going into the next one, we are so much more prepared to go out there and be just that much more competitive because we learned a ton from that. We have a lot of takeaways and a lot of things that we were able to think about. Heck, I've already started modifying our schedule sheet to make it a little bit easier to where we can adjust the times and make it flow a little bit better and build in some more notes. So that, at least for me, that was my probably challenges and pieces that was rewarding for me.
Put a little asterisk in there. Boss man doesn't need a 12-hour break next time.
Yeah. We did joke though, because we were talking about the rain, and that was the one thing. And Danny was the only. Well, we all ran on rain tires, but Danny was the only one that ran on rain tires while it was dry. How exactly did we say it? But you didn't have to run in the rain at all.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm the only one. Yeah, I'm the only one that didn't run in the rain, but I'm the one that ran the rain tires in the dry. So
yeah,
But I did run in the rain, but I ran my rain on slicks. Y'all were scared and put on wets. I ran mine in slicks.
Oh.
No,
and how many? What's your X count in the race?
1.
Ooh, 1.
It was low. It was
because
really low.
He ran 9 minutes in the rain.
Yeah. 14 meatballs.
Well, hold on now. Hold on,
man
Russell.
here had 1X.
Yeah, when we were running fourth or fifth, I think the side of the car says fourth in that picture with that GT3. Yeah, that was dry, bud.
Yeah.
Correct.
Maybe we should go review the tape.
That was the biggest challenge.
Our first meatball was me, 100%. Now, as we look back and learn from it, I don't think there was much that I could have done to avoid it, but I'm not going to live that one down. So,
and if anybody's out there, if you drive a GT3, do not pull out in front of traffic. Go
in the middle of the
grass.
That was the single toughest thing of the whole thing is no matter how far out I was looking and spotting, is that unfortunately a lot of these people in road racing they seem to yell out blue flag, like they think the person's just supposed to move over for you and get out of your way. The blue flag is for you to hold your line and know that faster traffic's coming. The problem is you'd have half the GT3s that would hold their line, be predictable and consistent, and they expect you to let you around them. You know, you're out of the racing line as a faster class, and then you have a bunch of others that wouldn't, and they would come out of a corner like getting onto the big track, and they'd swing out wide against the wall. It's like that's where the GTPs go. Like, what are you doing? And the other thing is is like even though you're individual, you're looking at cars a lot of times or car number. You have 3, 4, 5 drivers of those cars. So as the drivers change, the tendencies of those cars change. So, most of them only had 1, maybe 2 drivers in them that were an issue, except for the Mustang. All of them seem to be an issue. But here's the funniest thing: is the name of the team of the Mustangs was the Gentleman Racers, and they raced like a-holes.
Yeah.
You'll have that from time to time.
Oh yeah.
You will have that.
Yeah.
Well, boys,
Yeah.
So are you guys going to run it? You said you're practicing for Sebring coming up?
Yes. Yep.
12, is that a 12-hour?
This is 12-hour. We're going to do 2-man teams for that one so we can extend out, like Russell said earlier, we're going to extend out the stints so everybody can kind of get into a rhythm. So we're going to do 2-man teams. We're going to try and field, I think right now we're close to 3 cars, I think it is. So we're trying to get 3, maybe we could possibly get 1 more car. I like to field a couple and see if we can bring home multiple wins.
Well, just like Russell was saying earlier, and kind of you piggyback off that when he was changing the schedule for next year's 24. Now you're going to do that in the Sebring. That's just going to help you stretch your legs going into those races next. So that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Where can we find you at? Let's tell us about Merica Racing. Where can we find you at? Where's your socials? What are your sponsors? Who you got to thank?
Well, right now, the main one that I do is Facebook. Just type in Merica Racing. Give us a follow. I'm starting to be more active on there. I've kind of dropped with the dropping off out of streaming, and I'm trying to kick back on how many leagues I'm in. I'm trying to do more social stuff for the team. I'm starting to use Twitter a little bit. I'm kind of dipping my toes in that because I think that's kind of where like the advertisement stuff can kind of get a little bit bigger. That's it right now. So Twitter and Facebook. For me, my sponsor is AMR Paintworks. He does all of our paints. A lot of y'all have seen him. I mean,
he does good work. He does good work. I got a couple paints from him too. He always
does good work. Team Conti for me. We do have a couple drivers. I know Ginger, he'll spot his out, but we have Joseph Tucker. He's EPI. So we have multiple setup shops for the team. But I know I'm Team Conti, and that's pretty much it for my sponsors. That's it for me. Russell,
where can we find you at? Tell us about it.
Yeah. So I still have a TikTok page. I don't go on there. Like I'll come in just to support anybody else that's out there streaming and popping other streams and say hello. Like Duke always enjoy popping into yours and Captain Killam and Ginge when he goes live and just being able to pop in and say hello. But really most of my stuff now is just through YouTube. So I've still got my YouTube channel. I usually will broadcast pretty much every single one of my races. And the reason I go on YouTube is because I don't have to talk to anybody. The main reason I started streaming on YouTube was for my boy, for my son to be able to watch and for my uncle to be able to watch. Growing up, I was real big into go-kart racing and car racing, and my uncle's the one who got me into it. And to this day, he still watches every single race that I'll broadcast for him. So I'm out there on YouTube. same thing. You know, one of my sponsors for this year was AMR Paintworks. So he does all of my paints now. That's the only thing I run. He even just did one for my son not too long ago for the Powder Puff League.
You need to check that out too. That's awesome stuff there. The Powder Puff League.
Yep, it's really cool.
Tell us about it real quick.
Yeah. Powder Puff League is through Signature Esports. So I don't know if you know who Signature Esports is, but he does a lot of iRacing broadcasting. And so he launched a Powder Puff League, it was the end of last year, really just focused to new drivers, people that aren't normally in iRacing. So whether that's kids or spouses or whatever, and he'll set up some shortened races. Damage is off, cautions are off. It's really just for fun, and they're all broadcasted too. He does the broadcast for it. It's just a really cool event. So I had my son going in there and running in that one, and even before that, like the cool thing about Merica. So I'm gonna plug the team here real quick on this one, just because. We're getting ready. We're getting ready for was it Talladega or Daytona, Danny? Do you remember which one it was?
It was this first one. I think it was Dega.
Yeah. So we're getting ready for Talladega, and I wanted to get him some practice around just actual other drivers. And I'm not going to put him in an official. So the team, we all got together. So all these guys took time out of their evening to jump on and run laps with my 8-year-old son.
I saw that on your social media.
That was an absolute blast.
I thought that was really, really cool.
Oh, and for Skylar, my son, like it was the highlight of his day. Like just being able to go out there and race with the guys that I race with week in and week out. I mean, he still talks about it. So yeah, it's a really cool league. It's something that's fun, and it's cool because I get to watch him race. Like him being in this seat is fun for me, even though I got to put all kinds of pillows and stuff so he can actually reach the pedals and stuff.
Oh, yeah. Not much though. Not much.
Not much, yeah. But it's cool. But that's just the cool thing about these guys. I think the only place that Danny didn't share for like where we're at from a social standpoint is Discord. So we've got a Discord channel. Yes. So if anybody's interested, if someone's interested in joining the team, we do have some minimum requirements. But you can definitely jump into the Discord. We're always in there to chat and help, and like heck, even run with people. We'll bullshit from time to time and hang out. So definitely come join our Discord as well.
I'll link the Discord in the comments here after.
Yeah, like I said, we're gonna start looking for some road guys and some dirt. We want to kind of extend into that stuff. Not for us, but I like to have the eagle flying in the road courses and on dirt.
Yep, I'll make sure to link your guys' Discord after this in the comments. Ginger, your turn.
Well, obviously Ginger Ninja Racing everywhere on TikTok and Twitch and YouTube and Facebook. I don't use much of the Facebook. I need to do better on that. I don't use much of the YouTube, but I need to do better on that.
TikTok.
Do I?
So Twitch and TikTok.
Yeah, basically. I need to do better on them too, but my sponsors, like they said, AMR Paintworks does all my paintworks for all the intricate schemes. If it's simple, I'd do it. But Race EPI for open setups. Been on them for a couple seasons now. I'm super happy with them. Progressed me a long ways. And then Keith says yes, obviously. Yes. Yeah. So Keith's been a huge help. All y'all. I mean, I don't get to race a lot of the same time as y'all do, but he's a huge supporter of a bunch of us sim racers, and has helped out all of us in different ways. And want to support him and keep his stuff going as he changes avenues and paths and stuff as time goes on, and return what he gives us as help. So
heck yeah. Well, boys, like I said earlier, it was important for me to get y'all on here on an early episode. You guys are important to me, and important to the iRacing community. So I can't thank you enough for taking some time out of your day and coming to help make my show a little bit better. So thank you very much. And with that, we're going to cut it on off, and you guys have a good night. Thank you, boys.
Appreciate you, dude.
All right, see you.